Welcome to our video review panel for our very first Create a Mario Party board contest. I am Michael Kazwara, otherwise known as Super Zambazy on Mario Party Legacy and the like. I am also a judge for these boards, alongside our other judge, Michael Rudolph.
Hello everyone, I am Michael Rudolph, better known across the internet as Spider Staryu. I am also a judge, and I will be helping Super Zambazy judge these great boards.
Right, so for the last 2 weeks, we gave people of Mario Party Legacy and everywhere else the opportunity to submit some custom Mario Party boards. Now, the reason we're doing this contest is because there is a very cool board editor coming up for Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 that will basically let you import your own board and play on it. It's a really amazing tool coming soon, but we did this contest in preparation for it so that people can get some boards ready so that when it's released, you're ready to go, and give us an opportunity to share our advice and our thoughts on how we think people can improve their boards to make them more fit for a Mario Party board.
Right.
So, that said, before we actually get into reviewing the boards, I do want to go over some guidelines that we implemented and some how we judge them, what our review scale is. So the basic guidelines, and these are the most important ones, because we actually did a lot of guidelines. The most important ones are that you must make a board based on the Battle Royale mode of Mario Party 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Okay. No white backgrounds. Okay. You can't just slap an official artwork on a page and say, that's my board. No, you got to use transparent images, got to be creative, got to make your own painting, whatever. Spaces, we required you to have 70 minimum, 140 max. And at least one of each space, depending on the game. And for the passing events, we asked that everyone has 1 Boo minimum, 5 max. That's all 3 Mario Parties. For Bowser, 1 Bowser minimum on Mario Party 1. For item shops in Mario Party 2 and 3, you have to have at least 2, max 6. And for banks, for Mario Party 2 and 3, you need to have at least 1, max 5. So for the judging, we're using a 50-point scale. Each category is worth 5 points, and we have 10 of them. The first one is the theme. That's basically like jungle, ocean, whatever. You have the gimmicks, the special features of the board, what makes it unique. The background is the actual art that you use. The path layout is, as the name implies, the path layout. The space distribution is where... okay. The space distribution is actually where you place the spaces and what kind of spaces. Does it make sense? The passing events, things like Boo, item shop, where
Bowser.
they place, does it make sense? Yeah, Bowser. Thankfully, only Mario Party 1. And originality, just how original were you? Did you just copy another idea? Did you make an interesting idea? Playability is actually about how likely is it to work in Party Planner 64. Most of these boards you'll be able to make work, but there will be some features that you will not be able to use. So we are judging on that. The next one is guidelines. Did you follow the guidelines? Simple. And the last one is overall presentation. What do we think overall? So all of those are out of 5, equal up to 50 points. Bingo, done. I think we're ready. We're ready to move on to the first board. So we actually have 7 submissions total, 7 boards to go over. We actually spent all of yesterday reviewing them.
Yeah,
so they're very fresh in our minds. And again, I just want to remind everyone that we don't want you to take anything personally. We are just trying to make some good comments, give some advice, and we want you to make the best board that you can make. That's the goal here.
Absolutely. No type of shade or anything like that. We're going to be totally honest and just trying to help, really.
I think that's the key word. We're going to be honest.
Yeah.
So it might sound harsh at times, but I mean, that's what we're here for. So the first one is Bomb on Battlefield by Sponge Yoshi. This board is for Mario Party 1, and as you can see there, that's what it looks like.
Ooh. Ah.
So is there anything on this board that we need to know right off the bat that isn't clear from just the board itself?
Well, as if in case you didn't know, Bob-omb Battlefield is from Super Mario 64, and Sponge Yoshi used the DS map from Super Mario 64 DS. So that's the map you see on the little screen when you play Super Mario 64 on the DS. That's the little map on Bob-omb Battlefield, and he put the spaces in the way you go, usually to climb up the mountain. So as we all know, Bob-omb Battlefield has a giant mountain, and so you go along the path, and then you reach the mountain, which you have to climb the mountain and reach the top to get a star.
Yes. What about the happening spaces? Do you want to explain that one? Because I kind of like forgot a little bit how that works.
All right, well, I remember some things about the board. So what Sponge Yoshi said is that for his board, the happening spaces will trigger a boulder to come down and knock you off the mountain. So pretty much think of it like Donkey Kong's Jungle Adventure. You know how a boulder comes by and then you're just like, ah, and you're just like, literally, look at Donkey Kong. This is Donkey Kong. Ah, like you'd just be running away.
Where did that Donkey Kong come from?
I have no clue. But but yeah, that's what would happen. So pretty much like Donkey Kong's Jungle Adventure.
Right. Okay. So I think we kind of get the board. Let's start getting into the categories. So the first one is the theme. We gave it a 2 out of 5, and our reasoning was that Bob-omb Battlefield is just not that interesting of a theme. I don't think it's very generic. It's a little dull.
Yeah.
And to be honest, not looking at Mario Party, just looking at Super Mario 64, Bob-omb Battlefield is just really simple and not that exciting.
A very simple board, and unfortunately doesn't really use a lot of the levels assets. Like maybe like why didn't we see like a like a chain chomp by the area? We didn't see a chain chomp. We see a Boo right there. We don't really see like King Bob-omb on the top. Like just little things like that would have made it like, oh okay, I remember Bob-omb Battlefield, but those things are lacking in this board that Sponge Yoshi submitted.
Yeah, and I think you're kind of going into the next category, gimmicks. He has the boulders. That's a good concept. It's actually really good that you used something that is from Mario Party 1 that could actually be applied in Party Planner,
Right.
And made into this board. But I mean, that's really the only thing going for it. So it's really tough to get excited about this board because there's just not much going on. That's unfortunately the honest truth. Now this next one, the background. I'm gonna have to be harsh on this one. It's not a good background. This is not a good background.
No, it is ripped directly from Super Mario 64 DS, and the spaces are just copy and pasted on there. So you have a blurry image, and then you can totally tell the spaces are copy and pasted. So sorry, but that's not exactly the best.
Right, and I mean, it's not your fault that it's a blurry image. It's from a DS game, so it's going to be blown up, but that just means that that's not something you can use. So that's unfortunately how it is, and the map itself doesn't lend itself very well to creating a Mario Party board. Now, as you can see, it looks a little cluttered. It looks kind of like all over the place, and now we're getting into... So, unfortunately for the background, we had to give it a 1 out of 5. Yeah. And for the path layout, we had to give it a 2 out of 5, because it's just kind of a jumbled mess over there on the mountain. If you look closely, you can see that there are lines connecting all the paths, and there are arrows indicating where to go, but it's still a mess. It's still a very big jumble of spaces. And if we're going to be frank, this won't work in Party Planner. Those are too small at times. Those won't fit there. It just won't work. You can't have overlapping spaces. So unfortunately, that's how it has to be. One thing I did like, though, is if you look, there's a path that goes under the bridge. At the very start, we have Bowser and Boo. I like that. I like that there's two intersecting paths that don't actually meet up. That idea I like.
I agree. That's really interesting to use both paths in that way. So that was one good asset that he used from Bob-omb Battlefield.
Right. But as for the space distribution, we actually gave it a 4 out of 5. We gave it a pretty good score. We think that the places that, or the spaces that you chose to put in the locations, those were good. So if you look over here on where Boo and Bowser are, obviously the Bowser one is the shorter path. But that path is littered with red spaces, Bowser's space, and Bowser himself. I mean, that's no good. But if you take the longer path, it's going to take you a lot longer to get to the star. But you get to pass Boo, and there's some better spaces there. So you have to make that decision. I like that trade-off there. And if you look at the actual mountain, even though it is kind of a jumble over there, it does look like you have some good distribution of where spaces go. The question mark spaces, the happening spaces, they look evenly spaced out. Yeah, I have no problem with it. 4 out of 5 for that.
For space distribution, I totally agree. 4 out of 5. The only thing I really wish was that in the longer path, I wish there was more minigame spaces, because there's only one.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's pretty solid, pretty fair for Mario Party 1.
Yeah. For Mario Party 1. That's
Made
a
that
key
clear.
point. That's very clear. So, moving on, passing events. Bowser, Boo, we kind of mentioned, we touched on that already, but 4 out of 5. I think they're in good locations.
Yeah.
Koopa is where he's supposed to be, and so is Toad. This is a linear board, so. Originality. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
We are pretty big fans of taking a level from a different game and recreating it in a really cool way and making it a Mario Party board. That's an awesome idea. I love that. Unfortunately, this is, and I'm going to be harsh here, but this is the way not to do it. This is how you do not do it. You can't just copy the map and then just plot spaces wherever they would fit on a path from that level.
No.
You can't do that. You have to take elements from that level that you're taking ideas from and change it in a way so that it fits Mario Party and so that it looks good in Mario Party.
Yeah, generally for anyone who's going to make a board ever, my advice is to never just copy and paste like spaces on a random background. Even something like Bob-omb Battlefield, it's like what could have happened was you design a pathway yourself and like maybe something unique that you never had, that was never seen before, and then you use those assets from Bob-omb Battlefield. Like you put bombs everywhere, you put a chain chomp in one place, and maybe add like a little spiral mountain. I don't know exactly how you could do that, but maybe like in that way that would look better, because you see, just the way it is, it's just copy and paste spaces onto a random background. It doesn't really work.
Yeah, so unfortunately we have to give it a 1 out of 5. And for playability, we gave it a 2 out of 5, just because in like the boulder stuff, like yes, Mario Party has the boulder function happening space in DK's Jungle Adventure. Yes, that exists. But the way you describe it, it doesn't really work. You were explaining how it's like, it's straight path, right?
Yes, for the boulders coming down, it's either straight like this, and this way, or it's going to be going downwards. So the boulder is not going to go, circling around the mountain.
Yeah.
You're not going to have Donkey Kong doing this, circling around the mountain, slowly going down. No, he's going to go straight across. That's where he's going to be running. So, yeah, that unfortunately will not work in Party Planner. So, yeah.
Right, and that alone, I don't think deserves a 2 out of 5 score, because, whatever, happening space doesn't work in Party Planner, we can move on, the board can still work, but I actually think the board cannot work because of that giant jumble of spaces on the mountain over there. It won't work. No. It's got too much going on over there. You're going to have overlapping spaces. It wouldn't work. So unfortunately, 2 out of 5. As for guidelines, met them all. You get 5 out of 5. And for bonus points, I didn't mention this earlier, but you can get some bonus points if you create extra assets for your board. So in Party Planner 64, you'll be able to import a board select icon when you're picking your board before you start. You get to make a logo. You get to make the splash screen that appears before you start the match.
Yes.
And there's one more thing. And the large screen background when you're rolling your die or what have you, or when you visit Bowser, Koopa, the image that shows in the background. So if you submitted those two, you got the bonus points, and Sponge Yoshi did. So for the overall presentation, we unfortunately have to give it a 2 out of 5 because it did come off as a bit lazy. Now, I do want to make it clear that Sponge Yoshi was the first one to submit, and he submitted very early on, and he told us that he was honest. He told us that he rushed this. This was a rushed one. So thank you for the honesty, but we have to judge it as it is, and this is what we got. So,
yeah, we can't give you a break if you rush it. That's if you decide to rush it. I'm sorry, but we can't do that.
And based on like the space layouts and the distribution and kind of the general idea, I do think you are capable of making boards, good Mario Party boards. I just think if you dedicate some more time to it, then you could do it. And
Absolutely.
I guess just try to stay away from using direct copies of other things, basically. So our final score is a 28 out of 50, and that's that.
Alright, so now we're going to move on to the next submission. This next submission is from Mike's Monster Gaming. And it is a Mario Party 1 board? It's called Constellation Chaos. So this board, as you can see from the screen, there are tons of stars, tons of constellations. We're in space, pretty much. Mike explains it as how the happening spaces work. He explains it as the happening spaces work like Wario's Battle Canyon, which you get fired from different constellation to constellation in this version. When Wario's Battle Canyon, you'd be fired from different island to island or whatever. So that's how the happening spaces work, and yeah, so now we're just going to get to the review of the board. So we're going to start with the theme. So as I mentioned, the theme is space, stars, constellations. It's very interesting because, you know, space has been done before, but not in this manner. You know, with stars and constellations. So it's very cool. We gave it a 3 out of 5 for theme because, you know, it's pretty good. It's a pretty solid theme.
Yeah.
Gimmicks using Wario's Battle Canyon is very interesting, and it's potentially going to work in the future for, you know, being blasted off to different place to place. So we gave it a 3 out of 5. It was pretty interesting idea.
Pretty interesting, yeah.
Background. All right, for background. Background. You know, background, how everything pieces together, you know, the space with the stars, the constellations, you know, pretty solid, pretty average, you know,
Right,
3 out of 5. Oh, go ahead.
And these constellations are taken from Mario Party 4, right?
Yes.
So I mean that I like how it just works. A lot of people can try to take something like an image or whatever and try to put it in a board. It doesn't really fit. This one does, so it's a plus here.
Yes, absolutely. Now for the next thing we're gonna review on, it's not exactly the highest score, but we gotta be honest, and we gotta
actually the lowest.
We gotta be honest, and you know, that's how it is. That's how we mentioned it earlier. So our path layout, as you can see, it's way too confusing. Arrows everywhere.
Yeah.
It's too confusing. Okay. For Mario Party boards, we need to know where to go. I never want to look at a Mario Party board and be like, where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Maybe once, okay. I can be like, whatever. But every second at every junction? No, that's not how it can be. Every junction should be solid and clear. Go left, go down, go up, go right. Everything should be clear. And this board is really confusing with the arrows, so we gave it a 1 out of 5. For space distribution, we gave it a 1 out of 5 again, because Mario Party 1 does not use all these spaces that were shown. This is a Mario Party, apparently, is a Mario Party 1 board, but we see bank spaces, battle spaces, and item spaces, and those spaces are not in Mario Party 1. And to top it all off, they use the Mario Party 3 design for spaces. And it's just kind of confusing.
It's very confusing, yes. And the reason we think it's a Mario Party 1 board, because you also have the added... We have requirements for how big the size is for each board, and this size was created from Mario Party 1.
Yeah.
So it's taking elements from all 3 games, and we can't have that. We just can't, so it's very hard to say which game this is for, so space distribution suffers greatly because of that.
Unfortunately, yeah. For passing events, this is a Mario Party 1 board, apparently, and there's no Bowser. Bowser's nowhere to be seen. And Boo and Koopa Banks are good, but there's no item shops. And then, once again, we don't really know exactly what Mario Party this is for, so it's like...
So do they even... Are we supposed to have item shops? We don't know.
Exactly, so we gave it a 1 out of 5. Again, I am really sorry, but that's just how it is. Everything needs to be clear. Everything needs to be, you know, we need to understand. For originality, you know, we really like the theme, and, you know, the design is chaotic, so, you know.
Constellation Chaos.
Hello.
I mean, makes sense.
Chaos indeed. So we gave it a 4 out of 5 because we thought originality, it was definitely original with all the stars lined out. Yeah. That was nice. For guidelines, we gave it a 3 out of 5 because some of the guidelines were not followed because we were not sure what board this game, what what board goes to what game. We don't know if this is a Mario Party
Right.
1, 2, 3. We don't know. So
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, each game has slightly different guidelines, and if we don't know which game it is for, then we don't know how to grade it in this category. So it suffered a little bit because of that.
yeah, so overall presentation, we gave a 2 out of 5. Overall, it was just really not the best board. Arrows everywhere not helping, spaces not being right. Also, what I forgot to mention with space distribution, there were 7 chance time spaces on the board.
Yeah.
And only 2 item spaces.
Yeah, that's really bad.
There should be, with any, this is the advice to everyone. The most common space on the board should be blue spaces. Then red should be like uncommon, like, you know, some red spaces, like some happening spaces, and then some item spaces. Those are the spaces that should be like semi-common. Spaces like chance time, game guy, whatever, those are risky spaces and they should never be too common.
And they shouldn't be out in the open. Maybe 1, but 7 is not okay.
No.
7 is definitely not okay.
Absolutely not. So
Like, you make the board now, but when you actually play it, you'll be pulling your hair out.
yes. So overall we gave it a 2 out of 5, and the final score is 22 out of 50.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how it is, unfortunately. No bonus points, no extra assets, so yeah, that's that. As for our next board, this board is called Spin Out Space. It's by, and forgive me for not pronouncing this correctly, Yeshuan. You can tell us how to pronounce that correctly in the comments.
Yes.
And this board is for Mario Party 3. He actually provided a really, really nice PDF with all the information on how the different happening spaces work and some of the spin out ideas that you see, the swirly mechanic thing over there. We can go over some very briefly. There's quite a few. The book over there, if you land on a happening space, it will open up. Well, it's already open, and then it will...
What it will do is...
Yes.
And you'll be on the other side.
Thank you for the demonstration.
You're welcome.
That's what will happen in the book. The other sports mini games, a lot of them have to do with you just getting coins. I'll leave it at that. Different amounts of coins depending on where you land. The Mario and Luigi section, you basically get bumped up a level. So if you land on one of the bottom happening spaces, you move up to the second row. And for the Mario Kart one, I believe a shell comes through and takes coins, I think.
I think so, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
we know shells, ricochet and sometimes, hit people off, certain areas.
Bridges in particular, yeah. The portal doors on the top and the bottom, basically you use a skeleton key on either door to get to the other side, so you can transport from bottom to top and vice versa. And the portal in the middle, do you remember how this one works? Because I'm kind of not...
It kind of works like Waluigi's Island. From what he described, it was like you go in the portal and you'll be either going to sports or Mario and Luigi or Mario Kart or Paper Mario, depending on where you came from. Apparently, you can't go back though, so that was something that was not on Waluigi's Island. So, wherever you're going, like if you're let me give you an example. If you're in a Paper Mario route, you're only gonna be able to go to sports, Mario and Luigi, or Mario Kart. You're not gonna be going back in a Paper Mario route. So that's how it works.
Yes. Yeah. So, for the theme, we love the theme. We gave it a 5 out of 5. The different worlds colliding, it makes for something very interesting that has definitely not been done before. Yeah. And we think it's very unique. The gimmicks, we gave it a 4 out of 5 because you have a lot of interesting things going on, especially with these happening spaces. Some of them are pretty basic, about just getting coins, but other ones are interesting, like the book. I like the book. I really want to see that animation in game. That'd be awesome.
Oh, here's your animation, Essie. That was last time. I'm sorry. That was last time.
But yeah, the gimmicks are very interesting, and and the gimmick of just the traveling from world to world itself. That's
Very unique.
Very unique, yes. The background. So this was all custom made. Almost all custom made. Some of it is sprites that you can see are clearly from like Mario and Luigi and from other assets from games, but generally the background is all done by Yeshwan himself. So I'm very happy about that. And it looks good. It does look good. So we gave it a 4 out of 5, and if it fits the theme that he is going for. The path layout. I think we overall like the path layout, but I know me in particular, I did not like the Mario Sports area. I think it's kind of basic and not confusing, but a little odd, I'd say. I don't know if that describes it well, but it's a little odd how it kind of, you go around the diamond, the baseball area, and then you kind of like, so I don't know. It was a little off for me. What did you think?
I agree with you. I agree that it was a little bit different in a way, but I did like the Mario Kart pathway, and how it like kind of like turns around like the road. It kind of circles around.
Yeah,
that was cool. I like that.
You mentioned that the corners have the little like the
loop.
bumper.
Yeah, like I like that. It's really cool.
Yeah. So path distribution, space distribution, not path distribution. Lots of happening spaces. That's great, and there's a lack of item spaces in most of the worlds actually that we noticed. A big thing for both of us, specifically for you, is that you need to have lots of access to items, because items can make or break a Mario Party game. That's why it's sometimes hard to go and play Mario Party 2, because you can only have one, and it's even harder to play Mario Party the original because there are no items.
Yeah.
So items are very important to the game, and if you don't have access to them easily, it might be problematic.
More item spaces.
Yes, so we gave that a 3 out of 5. Passing events, we also gave it 3 out of 5 because it's pretty standard. Nothing's too wrong, nothing's too right. It's just in that right spot. I did notice one thing is that Boo might be a little easy to get to. A little too easy, because the path that Boo is on, in fact all 4 paths that lead to the spin out space in the center, you can go either direction in them, from the world or from the spin out space. So that means you'll be passing through those quite often, and Boo is on one of them. So you could like pretty often. And this is at Mario Party 1, so Boo is pretty powerful. So you have to watch out. That's the only concern there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, okay, yeah, I'm just making sure. Originality. We gave it a 4 out of 5. It's a very original idea, as we said before in the theme topic. Worlds colliding, original, 4 out of 5. Playability.
Ooh,
so, we are a little concerned about how this will work in Party Planner 64, because, yes, the happening spaces will not work, and we can just use them as normal happening spaces. And I want to take this time to say that if you put a happening space into Party Planner 64 and you land on it, the game will not crash. Instead, it will count as like nothing happened. You'll land on it and it'll just move to the next turn. The only benefit to having happening spaces is that there's still a happening star.
Yeah.
So you still want to land on those spaces. So that's okay. That will still work, but the portal doors and the spin out spinner will not work. Period.
No.
And that does change the dynamic of the board pretty dramatically. So we will have to give it a 2 out of 5. The board will still work, but it will work very differently from what you were hoping to make it work. And I do want to make it clear that he did mention in his PDF that he understands this, that he knows that Party Planner will not be able to, do the book animation and things like that. So he is get that book out of here. Unless it's a book about Donkey Kong, I don't need to see it anymore.
True.
Yeah, so he understood and he made that choice, but we still have to grade it based on the guidelines that we presented. Speaking of guidelines, you almost had it all correct. The only thing is that the dimension is slightly off. You had it about 100 pixels for the height. too much.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and crop it out a little bit, and it'll be the right dimension. You want the right dimension so that it. I'm not sure how it works in Party Planner 64, if it stretches it or if it shrinks it to fit, or if it just gets cut off itself. I don't know. But you just want to stick with the original dimensions as we have in our guidelines. For overall presentation, we gave it a 4 out of 5, by the way. Overall presentation, I think this board was designed pretty well. It was well thought out, and it'll be a fun board to play in Party Planner 64, despite not being able to use the features that you base the board around. But it really is a pleasant board. We really do like it, so we did give it a 4 out of 5, despite some of the issues that we saw.
Right.
So final score, 39 out of 50.
Counting the bonus points, right?
Yes, he did also get the bonus points because he did provide these extra assets for the board select, the logo, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sending in, Yeshwan. And let's move on to the next board. It's Luigi's Mansion.
Ooh. I'm jealous that you get to talk about this one.
I know. It's by Medic Luigi. It's actually a collaboration by Medic Luigi and Kira Frog for Mario Party 2. So this...
Our only Mario Party 2 submission, by the way.
I know. It's a really good one. Wait till you hear all this. So, pretty much, this board works similar... Oh my god, I can't speak. It's similar to Horrorland, pretty much. So, you have the Mr. I, you have the Big Boo, you have the Boos that come out in daytime and nighttime, just daytime and nighttime, just like Horrorland. And yeah, it uses pretty much all of Horrorland's assets, pretty much. So let's get into how we reviewed the board. So for the theme, we gave it a 5 out of 5 because it is phenomenal. Really, it is. The theme is simple. Yes. It's simple, yeah, but it's completely on point. Everything is right. It fits the horror theme. It fits Horrorland's motif. It fits perfectly.
Yes, exactly.
The gimmicks, they're taken straight from Horrorland, and they're implemented pretty well, but it's implemented in a way where it's not totally a rip-off of Horrorland. It's, things are implemented in different spots, so it's not like, when you play this board, you're not going to feel like, oh, I'm playing directly on Horrorland. There's different things to make it different.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear that it's like, oh, well, you just used the Horrorland one, so it's like, not, how could that be a great gimmick? Well, I just look at just the way everything is placed, where the Boos are, where the Mr. I is, where the Big Boo is, like, all of these things, it feels like they picked the right spots. Like, if you moved it over here, it wouldn't be as good. But it was just so well done. I really love this board.
Also, by the way, this is Party Planner, and for right now, you can't add anything new to this.
That's true.
To the game. So, if this worked in the future, using stuff from other boards would be how it would be. So
yes, and it would have worked then.
But let's keep going on. We're not done yet. Oh, I know you're excited, but you need to wait a little bit. For background, we gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yes.
The custom they made this background, they made this artwork. It's so good.
It's so well done.
And by the way, they made day and night with different stuff in both. So it's really awesome that they made this. Awesome. 5 out of 5 for background.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
For path layout, nothing's ever too long, too short, and you got the right amount of junctions. Not too much, not too many junctions, not too little. You got the right amount. So we gave it a 5 out of 5 again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you look, I really want to point out the nothing's ever too long, because that can be a problem sometimes in custom boards where it's like, okay, here's a path, there's like 20 to 25 spaces in one line. It's like, whoa. But here it's like just the right amount. Like, if you want to get to a certain part of the board, you can get there relatively quick. It's not, you don't feel like it's taking forever, or you don't feel like you just got there. I mean, we haven't played it, but you can tell just on how it looks.
Right.
This is such a great board.
All right, now let's move on to space distribution. Space distribution, we gave it a 4 out of 5. Now let us explain why. We love the space distribution, but there's one area we're not too keen on, and that is the area around Big Boo. Now, I get having risky spaces around Big Boo, but around Big Boo, there's like 8 spaces that can screw you up. 4 behind Big Boo and 4 in front of Big Boo. So it's like you got Bowser spaces, you got Chance Time spaces, you got happening spaces which can screw you up. I mean, if it was nighttime, it'll turn to daytime, so then you can't visit Big Boo. And then you got battle spaces which will make you lose coins. So overall, it makes sense to have some risky spaces near Big Boo, but that is a little overboard in our opinion. It's too much. It should be toned down a bit.
Yeah, if it stays like this in the final board, I don't see myself ever going over there. It's just, I don't see it worth. I mean, you have chance time there and battles. You might lose all your coins. You might not even be able to use Big Boo, Bowser right after. I mean, it could go horribly wrong. And you still have to use the skeleton key door to get there. So you have to make sure you get like a 10 or something.
And and if you're Spider Star, you don't get a 10 when you need to get a 10.
Oh, please.
All right. But that's how we feel about that. Now for passing events, we gave it a 5 out of 5 because me and Super Zambezi love boos. All right, we love going to Boo and stealing stuff. All right, it's so mischievous, but we love it. So we love the amount of boos. There's like 4. I believe there are 4 boos on the board. Wait, 2 normal boos at night, I think, and 1 boo in the morning, and then 1 big boo. So overall 4, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that's correct.
For originality, we gave it a 4 out of 5 because it is, Luigi's Mansion. So we get it. And you're in a mansion and you go outside the mansion towards the top left part of the board. But overall, this is the right way to do it. You took the Luigi's Mansion motif and you used it originally. You didn't take an exact copy of Luigi's Mansion and just paste space on it. You're original with it, and that's really awesome. We love that so much. So we gave you a 4 out of 5 for originality.
Right, because on first glance, you would look and you're like, how is this original? And it's true, it's not the most original, but like you said, everything is just taken from that game. And Horrorland, too. It's like the two combine into one. Taking that idea and just doing it so well.
Exactly.
That's what makes it original.
Exactly. For playability, we gave you a 3 out of 5. Now, here's why. Horrorland may not be able to overwrite in the first release of Party Planner 64. So when we first get it, it may not have all that stuff available just yet. So that stuff, the Mr. I, Big Boo, and those things won't function. Skeleton key doors, those might not function just yet. So, 3 out of 5 for that. Right. Guidelines, all the guidelines are followed except for one. You were missing the second item shop. Yeah, and that's kind of a big deal when you're me. I love item shops. I need to go to the item shop and buy stuff. Even though Mario Party 2 has ridiculous item prices for items. Oh my god, 20 coins for a golden mushroom. Ah.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. 4 out of 5 for guidelines. And for overall presentation, we love the board, and we cannot wait. I'm speaking for SC right now. I think he agrees. We can't wait to use it in Party Planner because it's such a great board. And it's simple, it's great, it gets the job done. It's just awesome in every way. So we gave it a 5 out of 5. And you also get bonus points because you made the board logo and that stuff, the big scene background, all that stuff was made. Yeah. So 3 points for you. And overall, your final score is 47 out of 50. Pretty solid.
That is a very good score.
That's a very good score. Very, very, very good score. Thank you so much thank you so much to Medic Luigi and Kira Frog for making this awesome board. It's great. Good job, guys.
So our next board is called Blockquilus, I think. It's by Stalfos King, and it's for Mario Party 1. And now, I have to be honest that on first glance, I was not the biggest fan. It wasn't until I actually looked a little closer and a little deeper after we did our review that I started to like this board a lot more. I mean, what do you think? How did you feel first time?
I felt the same way. I thought, at first glance, it's not really the most detailed board. It's not really oh my god, you look at it and you're like, oh my god, I want to play on it. But when you look deeper at the board, you look at the little details, like the Pumpkin Island. I believe what I'm saying is a Cake Island. I'm not 100% sure. Volcano Island, Pyramid Island, that stuff. Construction Island. That's so cool. So it was really,
construction. Yeah,
I love that stuff. So, when you look closer, you can see the little details, and it makes it great.
Yeah. So since we're talking about that, the theme, we gave it a 4 out of 5.
Oh.
We actually really like this island theme. Yeah, that's enough said. For the gimmicks, there are actually no happening spaces, so there's no gimmick in that. However, we really do like the connecting islands. There's these 6 central islands, or 6 main islands that you travel through, and you travel through them pretty quickly, and you can go from one to the other pretty fast, but we just like that idea, and we consider that to be the board's main gimmick, so we gave it a 3 out of 5. The background, this is where we're a little conflicted, because Minecraft, this was made in Minecraft, and that's very interesting. I would have never thought to have done that, and it gives off an interesting look. But the background itself in this particular example is a little dull, it's a little basic, and there are just some other just glaring issues, mainly being half the board is not used. All the action is in the top half, and the bottom half is just ocean, and we see that as a problem. We should always try to utilize the entire space of a Mario Party board. That one feels a little more cluttered up at the top, so that's the unfortunate part here. And we do have to mention it here because arrows and junctions belong in the background. They are not placed in Party Planner, so we need them to be done right in the background itself. And this board does not have any of those. And that's very bad because we need to know where we're going. So background we gave a 2 out of 5. Path layout. This is where I'll have to explain some path layout because it's not obvious at the start. I'm just going to go ahead and read the editor's note that I left here. Path direction on each island is clockwise. From the center island, you can go to the left or right island.
Yes.
From there, you can only move to the next island and not back to the center island. Once you reach the island with the volcano, you can return to the center island. So it's basically, you can go in 2 circles like this.
Or 2 squares.
Or 2 squares, yes. Yeah. So for path layout, we gave it a 3 out of 5 because we do like the circling paths. It's an interesting concept. That has been done before, but we like it. We like how it's implemented here. And we have to dock in some points because junctions have to be there. Right now, you have just spaces there, and that does not work. You have to remove those spaces where junctions should be, where you make a direction input choice.
Right.
Sorry, I've been just blah 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 blah. What do you think so far on everything?
Okay, for arrows, I agree with that because, as I mentioned earlier with Constellation Chaos, you know, we need to know where to go, you know, and arrows are so important. It's so crucial. So we need to know exactly where to go when junctions are, for junction areas. Like, we need to know, go left, go up, go down, whatever. So that's really crucial to have, and this board unfortunately lacks that. But it will be really easy to just remove that one space around the junction and just, you know what I mean. Overall, I think the board is really great. It's a really great board. I can't believe you made it in Minecraft. That's still like so shocking to me. I maybe I need to look into maybe using Minecraft in the future because it's really cool that you used it in Minecraft. That's really awesome. The only thing is, like what SC mentioned, the whole board should be utilized. And the bottom left, bottom right, it's like nothing's there. I like the little turtle, which, why isn't Koopa on the turtle? Come on now, Koopa should be on the turtle. I'm not saying that docks you points, I'm just saying Koopa should be on the turtle. He should be on the volcano. Bowser should be on the volcano. But yeah, but overall, you know, I think you did a splendid job. So yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. We gave it a 3 out of 5 for path layout. Space distribution. Going left takes a significant longer time than going right. That's a key point that we have to take note of. On going left, it'll take you maybe 20 plus spaces, maybe 30 plus spaces. Going right is going to take you less than 20. So you have to compensate for that. You have to make sure that the left has more rewarding things to make it worth going the long,
like mini game
the long
spaces,
way.
Mushroom spaces,
Right.
so it won't be as long. That's really crucial.
And the right path should have a little more riskier spaces because it's so quick. So that's why we have a very big problem with having Boo on the right space, because that could be abused. You can go in that little circle in the corner there within 19 spaces. keep circling Boo. And there's a mushroom space there, so you might even have 2 rolls. So that's a very, I would say, poor choice in placement for Boo.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Boo is not as cheap as he is in other games, so like he could only steal like maybe a few coins, maybe the most 10. But you can still steal stars, and even then you can still steal like 12 coins, 13 coins, and that can add up over time, especially if you win all mini games. So it can add up. So what's really important, I think, would make this board better is in the left side, add more mini game spaces. Please add up more mini game spaces so that we can get coins from that side, and mushroom spaces so it won't be as long. It'd be really cool to have, and it'll make it better.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And we have to give it a 2 out of 5 for that, because those are some problems. Those are some real problems that will make this board a problem. Originality using Minecraft is very clever and, as you can see, effective. Although the islands kind of idea, it's been done before, and there isn't anything too new about this besides just being able to circle a board. So we have to give it a 3 out of 5. That's still a good score, but it's not the most original idea. Playability, as long as you remember to remove the spaces where the junctions go, you should have a working board, especially since there's no happening spaces here. So we gave it a 4 out of 5. For guidelines, everything is good except for the fact that this is a Mario Party 1 board and you did not add a Bowser location.
Oh,
so
how dare you. Bowser should be on the volcano. Come on now. That's where Bowser would be.
Technically, it is maybe on the volcano. I actually don't mind not having Bowser, but but it is a requirement, unfortunately.
Rules are rules, guidelines are guidelines.
Yes. Overall presentation, we think it's a very refreshing look to a Mario Party board. It's definitely very different, and while the island idea has been done before, it's done well here. So we would give it an average score of 3 out of 5. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I agree.
And you got all the bonus points, 3 extra bonus points, so that gives you a total score of 33 out of 50.
Pretty solid score.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next we have Daisy's Garden. This was made by Mario Comics, and it's for Mario Party 3. And as you can see, it's clearly the Daisy board that we never got in Mario Party 3. All the other original 8 got a board except for Daisy, so this one is trying to make up for that. For the theme, it's all about Daisy. We think it's well represented. You've got the flowers, the forest, garden kind of theme going on. Plants, piranha plant, Petey Piranha's there. So we think this is an appropriate board that if she did get a board, it would be something similar to this. So we think it's appropriate. 4 out of 5. For the gimmicks, so there are actually 3 different types of happening spaces here. The first one, the bottom, Wiggler, land there and some pollen will appear and you'll inhale it and sneeze and blast off to a different location on the board. The happening space in the top left corner, you look into the mirror and one of 3 things happens. 1, you either get 10 coins, 2, you either get an item, or 3, you might be able to send someone to that spot, another player.
Right.
And then the third one, up at Petey Piranha, you land there and you have the opportunity to pay 15 coins to take away a star from somebody else. Now, you don't steal it for yourself, you just make them lose 1. If they don't have a star, you get 20 coins. Or they lose 20 coins, let me correct that. So those are the gimmicks, and I actually really enjoyed those gimmicks. I think, especially like the mirror one, I really like that one. That said, this still feels like there's a lack of happening spaces. There's only 4 total, one of which is behind a skeleton key door. So there's only 3 ones that you can land on the whole board. So I think that's a problem. As for the flower path gimmick, I think that's a good one. So we gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
The background is fitting for a background. The background is fitting for a garden with all the like trees and plants or whatever. We've talked about this already. It does feel a little empty at times though. Like some spaces just feel kind of blank, which isn't too big of an issue, but it is present. And that toy theme, like the flat theme from Mario Party 3, it's here. You can see it. So that's really nice. Background 3 out of 5. Where are you on this? Because I've been just...
For the overall theme, I think it's really great. I also love, I think you mentioned this, but I love how like the Mario Party 3 things in the background, where you see like the little board, like you can tell it's a board with the starry stuff in the back. I love that. Really nice touch.
It's a very nice touch.
Yeah, we said nice touch at the same time.
Yeah. For the
Oh, it's overall great. Yeah.
Okay, so for the path layout, obviously it's a flower design, a squashed flower design. It looks like someone sat on a flower, which isn't bad.
Yeah, sometimes people, it happens sometimes. Sometimes you sit on a flower, sometimes you sit on your headphone.
Ooh.
Ah.
The flower design is visually appealing, and the branching paths make for a unique board. There's lots of branching paths with the petals. So
yeah.
I do like that. There's like that main central location there. We do think it's a little silly to have the skeleton key door at the bottom. The one at the top is fine, but the one at the bottom forces you to go into that really big petal. So that's kind of we don't like it. I mean, this you found a bigger problem with this than I did.
Yeah.
So why was that?
I'm the one who pushed for that problem, and the reason why is because to me it's just silly that we have a skeleton key door, and the only benefit is that you don't have to take a long path. That's it. And also, there's not really like item spaces or like, better spaces around that area. So why would you want to take the long path anyway? So people always have to buy a skeleton key just around that area? I don't know. To me, it's just a little bit silly. I think more should have been done about that. Like less spaces and just more of a reason to take a skeleton key path.
Okay, so better spaces behind it too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of spaces, space distribution. First and foremost, the spaces are too close together. They are very cluttered at times. Especially like the pedal we were just talking about. All those spaces crammed into there. That's not a good idea, we don't think.
Yeah.
So here's one that I noticed immediately. 2 chance time spaces on the main path, like the central area. That's going to be a big problem, because it might not seem like it, but those will be landed on quite often, and it's going to... Friendships will end sooner rather than later.
We're going to pull our hair out. We're going to pull our hair out when things like that happen.
Anything that's left after playing Constellation Chaos. With all the chance time spaces.
Right. Oh, okay.
Passing events. 2 item shops. We love the 2 item shops. That's very nice. And the banks are placed a little too close together, we think. You'll be passing 2 very quickly, but not too big of an issue. But where's Boo? What happened to the Boo?
Yeah.
I know we have PD Piranha, and he kind of replaces him, but not really. Not really. It's not the same. You're not stealing. You're just subtracting from someone. So we do need Boo somewhere on this board. See, maybe the Boo could have been behind that skeleton key down there. Maybe that's the thing.
Could have been down there. Could have been one of the other pedal routes. So it gives people a reason to go over there. So Boo missing also is against the guidelines. We need Boo.
Right. That's very true. So, okay, so since you mentioned guidelines, 4 out of 5, because everything else you got it, but no Boo. For passing events, we just talked about, so I will not repeat myself. And originality, we gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
It's a very nice counterpart to Waluigi's Island, and we love that you played off that, like, oh, Waluigi got a board, so does Daisy. We like that. But it is a little basic. Even if you have that cool flower design, it's still just, it gives off a little bit of a basic feel. So 3 out of 5 for originality. And playability, happening spaces will not work, nor will the skeleton key doors, which changes the board quite a bit, but it will still work as a pretty decent Mario Party board regardless of those things. So 3 out of 5 for playability. And for overall presentation, yeah, I mean, we're repeating a lot of the same things. A little basic at times, but everything else, very, very nice Mario Party 3 vibe. And it's a decent board overall. 3 out of 5.
All right. There we go.
So total score is 33 out of 50.
Pretty solid board.
Very solid, yes.
Alright, and now we have our last submission. It's Animal Crossing by someone who I don't like. His name is Yoshiman222. And he made a Mario Party 1 board. Now, let me preface this. I don't like Yoshiman, but he did an awesome job on this board, and we're gonna talk to you about the review. He knows I'm joking. I'm just saying this to get under his skin. Even SC knows that. That's why he's laughing. Okay, so don't think I'm seriously saying this as hate. Okay, please. Okay, moving on to the review. The theme, all right, is Animal Crossing, and you know, it's done right. You know, we got the path layouts. The path layouts signify, you know, someone was running on those paths. You know, clearly. We have the fountains. We have the flowers. I love the little flowers on the ground. That's perfect. The houses. We have museum. We have town hall. You know, everything's, you know, set and everything's there. So 4 out of 5. Pretty solid theme. For gimmicks, the many paths and the looping, you know, makes for a unique board. That's why we gave.
Right.
That's why we gave it that. And
I don't remember a board having so many intersections and paths like this, right?
No, never.
No, so I would consider that a cool gimmick.
And you could loop.
You
could loop on this board.
Absolutely, you can loop in many places here. But we do have to make note that the happening spaces here, Yoshiman did not give us an explanation as to what they do, so we have to grade them as such. So that's unfortunate because we don't know what they do. So no gimmick. So we
gave him a 1 out of 5. No, just kidding. We gave him a 3 out of 5. For background,
oh my gosh.
Nothing's really custom made, but it's recreated well, and you know, it's pretty solid. So we gave it a 4 out of 5. For path layout, I love the way the paths look and the idea of the looping and stuff, but you know, it is kind of crowded. Not kind of, it's crowded. The toads don't need to be there. I get it, maybe you were just showing like, oh, where the stars could be. That's why there's the chance time spaces, because that's where the stars would be. So I get that, but the toads being there make it way too hectic. Remove the toads, and I think it'd be a lot better. It'd still be a little bit crowded, but it'll be better than the toads just being everywhere. It's too much. So we gave you a 3 out of 5. Oh, go ahead.
And so we don't confuse people who are looking forward to Party Planner 64. You will not need to put things like Boo and Toad and Bowser like it is on this board. You will actually, I mean, if you want to put like a sign that says Boo here or whatever, that's fine. But on Party Planner, you will actually be able to set where Boo, the actual 3D character, will appear. So
that's
putting those characters there is not necessary.
That's a good idea. When I make a Mario Party 1 board, I'm gonna make this little sign by Boo saying Boo here, right here. Boo's right there. Good idea. See. All right, but yeah, we gave him a 3 out of 5 for path layout. For space distribution, I think the spaces are pretty fair and everything of that nature, so 4 out of 5. And let me explain something. For the chance time spaces, it's explaining where the stars would be. So it's not saying like, oh, those chance time spaces will always be there. No. So it's 4 out of 5. It's pretty fair. For passing events, you did a really good job. Oh my God, I'm praising you so much. And this is all me too. So for passing events, you know, you put the Boo in pretty good areas. You know, put it where if you want to circle Boo, you have to visit Bowser, where there's a bunch of red spaces, and then Bowser passing event, and then a Bowser space. So, you know, you place it pretty fairly. And then another Boo is hidden behind a Thwomp. So you have to pay to visit Boo. So it's pretty fair, and I think, you know, you get a 4 out of 5. You did it. Good job. For originality, this is really original. I never have thought to make an Animal Crossing board, but you did it so well.
Yeah.
You did it so well.
Yeah. I don't think we mentioned this part, but in Animal Crossing you run a lot and you kind of ruin the grass, and we
did mention that.
It works here. Oh. Well, I'm letting you know again. It's that good.
Yeah, so, but for originality, 4 out of 5. You know, you placed everything together really well. For playability, everything's good, but the Thwomps, we don't know if that will work just yet, so we gave you a 3 out of 5. Yeah. Everything else should work. Bowser, Boo, that should work just fine, but Thwomps, that kind of ruins certain areas. That's why we gave you a 3 out of 5, because, you know, you don't want to loop in an area with Boo and then there's no, like, punishment. So that's why we gave you a 3 out of 5 for that. For guidelines, all the guidelines were met. You get a 5 out of 5. For overall presentation, me and Essie agreed that it's 4 out of 5. You did a really, really good job.
That's a good board.
For bonus points, you get 2 bonus points. because you did what we told you to do. But for the splash screen and large screen background, it should be 320 to 240, not 320. It should be 320 to 240, not 320 to 340. That's too big.
So they're a little big. That won't fit.
Will not fit.
So,
but overall, we gave Yoshi Man a 37 out of 50. It's a pretty good board, and I hate saying this so much, but I really am looking forward to playing it when Party Planner is released.
yes. And that was our last submission. So we just went and reviewed all 7 boards. And if you couldn't tell already, here are our top 3. First, or I'll start with the third one. In third place, we have Yoshi Man's board, Animal Crossing, with 37 out of 50 points. Then we have Yeshwan's board, Spin Out Space, in second place with 39 out of 50 points. And as you guys probably could have guessed already, we have Luigi's Mansion, Medic Luigi's, and Kira Frog's board with 47 out of 50 points in first place.
Woo! Congratulations! You are the winner. You are the winners.
So we didn't mention this earlier. The prizes for this was first place gets a $20 eShop card.
Oh,
Don't know how that's going to work with 2 people, but we'll figure it out. And the top 3 will get access to Party Planner 64 early. So, in fact, right now. So they will actually be able to test out their boards, play around with it. So you guys made good boards. You will get rewarded for sure. And I want to thank everyone who submitted, the winners included. We had a great time seeing the submissions and reviewing them. We actually spent a lot of time reviewing them.
Yeah, we did.
So we're really happy that you sent them in. And we really hope this inspires people to enter our next contest, because I think we want to do this again.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
This was a great thing to do. We don't know when. Maybe closer to when Party Planner 64 is released. So then we can actually get those imported. But overall, had a great time with this. So again, thank you everyone, and thank you for watching our video review panel.
Thank you so much for watching. And by the way, really quickly before we go, you can follow me, SpiderStarU, on all social media. I am SpiderStarU on YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Nintendo Network, and Google+. All of it is SpiderStarU. So go follow me on all those places. I'd really appreciate it.
Right, and I'm Super Zambazy on Twitter, Nintendo Network, and YouTube. For Nintendo Network, if you add me, you have to tell me that you watched this video.